Okay, let's dive into this. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating explainer on a fundamental shift in how we handle conflict. We're going to look at how dismantling that knee-jerk instinct, the one where we just over-explain ourselves the second we feel attacked, how stopping that might actually change the way we communicate forever.
This quote, man, it really hits hard, doesn't it? The moment you open your mouth to explain yourself, you have already lost. So why is that? Well, because the act of defending yourself is, at its core, an act of submission. When you rush to justify your actions, you're implicitly accepting the other person's authority to be your judge. You are literally handing them the power to decide if you're right or wrong. And we definitely don't want to do that. I mean, we've all lived through the visceral reality of this, right? Picture this scenario. A subtle jab drops at a dinner party. Or maybe your competence is suddenly questioned right in the middle of a meeting. Instantly, you feel that heat rise in your chest. That right there, that's the cortisol spike. Your biology is actively betraying you in that exact moment. Your brain is just screaming that you're being misunderstood and that you have to correct the record immediately. You feel this overwhelming, almost physical urge to clarify, to offer context, to just make them see your side of things. Now, what's really interesting here is where that intense urge actually comes from. We're basically looking at a massive clash, the childhood trap versus the sovereign mind. See, when we eagerly provide all this evidence of our innocence, we're actually relying on a leftover survival tactic from when we were like 5 years old. Back then, if a parent or a teacher accused you of something, explaining was literally your only way to escape punishment. And the crazy thing is we subconsciously project that old authority dynamic onto everyone we meet today. Our bosses, our partners, even random strangers on the internet. We play the child seeking validation. But the real goal? The goal is to move to the sovereign mindset, which requires absolutely zero external permission to exist. And that brings us to a brilliant perspective rooted in the philosophy of Niccolo Machiavelli. It is much safer to be respected than understood. In modern social dynamics, power isn't about objectively being right. It's entirely about who holds the social frame. When you're begging someone to understand your intent, you step directly into their frame. Think about it. A king doesn't explain his decree to a peasant. A lion doesn't explain its hunt. When you prioritize being respected over being understood, you stop handing over the keys to your own internal stability. So how do we practically apply this? Well, imagine someone throws a verbal spike at you. Instead of instantly reacting, you just hold a neutral face and let the silence hang for 3 to 5 seconds. In the middle of a conflict, the human brain is absolutely terrified of silence. It acts like a psychological vacuum that signals a massive rupture in the social fabric. Manipulators, they absolutely cannot stand it. That silence is the absolute foundation of a really powerful, weaponized technique known as the gray rock method. You basically become a psychological void. Because think about it, you can't punch mist, and you certainly can't cut water. By completely refusing to provide the friction of a defense, you cause their attack to pass right through you. And what happens next? The attacker gets completely unbalanced, forced to awkwardly fill that silent void themselves, which usually means they end up backpedaling and defending their own outburst against your absolute silence. It's wild to watch. Because here's the thing, there's actually a massive danger in defending yourself. It reveals your absolute deepest insecurities. When you shout, "I'm not stupid," you've just handed your attacker a bright red, glowing map to your core buttons. Now they know for a fact that your core insecurity is your intelligence. Silence, on the other hand, is like a dark mirror. It reveals absolutely nothing about you. It only reflects the attacker's aggression right back at them, making them highly, highly uncomfortable. But okay, what if the situation really demands that you speak? That's when you use verbal aikido. You pull the force instead of pushing against it. This is a concept known as agree and amplify. It creates this intense cognitive dissonance in your attacker. Instead of validating an absurd accusation by getting all defensive about it, you lean in. You exaggerate the accusation so much that it becomes a complete caricature. Let's actually see this in action. Say someone accuses you of being greedy. A predictable defensive response would be something like, "No, I'm not. I just want to provide for my family." It's boring, right? And it's weak. But look at the Machiavellian approach. "You caught me. I actually swim in a vault of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck every Tuesday." This is what's known as amused mastery. You entirely refuse to be insulted. It's like you took their knife and you casually started peeling an apple with it. You've turned their super serious attack into an absurd joke, showing you were just completely unbothered.
And man, this brilliantly illustrates our next tactic, shifting the metastructure of the conversation. Every single conflict has a judge who asks questions and a defendant who answers them. And the person answering, they are always losing status. So, if someone aggressively asks why you're late, you don't act like a defendant and start listing off traffic excuses. You simply ask, why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? Boom! You've just refused the role of defendant and completely seized the role of judge. Suddenly, we aren't talking about the clock anymore. We're psychoanalyzing their emotional stability.
So, building on that, let's look at another incredibly powerful tool called the fogging technique. This involves agreeing with the truth in an attacker's statement, but, and this is key, without accepting the shame they are desperately trying to attach to it. Think of it like throwing a rock into a really thick fog bank. There's no thud, no rebound, the rock just disappears. By agreeing with them, you entirely steal their momentum. It's like they were pushing against a door they expected to be locked, and when you just open it, they fall flat on their face. Imagine being told, you messed up this report, you're totally incompetent. The standard defensive reaction is to fight back on the facts. I'm not incompetent, the data was just wrong. But the real power move, you just say, you're right, the report has errors, I'll fix it. Notice what happened there? You completely ignored the insult, the whole incompetent part, and you only addressed the fact. Taking ownership of the action while happily ignoring the identity insult signals immense confidence. It instantly disarms a hysterical enemy.
Now, there is a pretty crucial catch to all of this. If we look at the actual math of communication, it's roughly 20% words and 80% nonverbal frame. Literally, none of these tactical phrases will work if your voice is shaking, if you're nervously darting your eyes around, or if your general energy just screams, please like me. Dark psychology and power dynamics rely heavily on a grounded, totally unbothered physical presence. We really have to build the internal architecture to support both the silence and the words. So the crucial point is, how do we actually build that internal architecture? Well, it all comes down to shadow work. The ultimate defense isn't actually a verbal technique at all. It's self-knowledge. An insult only hurts if it touches a wound that's already there. If you deeply know and accept your own flaws, your shadow, then accusations just bounce right off. When you know you're capable of being selfish and someone calls you selfish, you just shrug and say, sometimes yeah. You become this transparent, integrated self. The arrows pass right through because you're no longer a fortress that needs defending. All right, to put all of this into practice, I want you to try this 7-day no defense challenge. For the next week, absolutely forbid yourself from explaining. State facts simply. If you're late, just say, I'm late. Do not blame external factors like the traffic or your coffee spilling. And most importantly, allow others to misunderstand you. Sit in the fire of that discomfort and just watch it burn away your need to perform for others, because this is exactly how you reclaim your energy and plug the leaks in your soul. It is officially time to step out of the role of the child and step fully into the role of the sovereign. It really all comes down to this. Are you done being a prey animal in a world of predators? The world absolutely loves a reaction. It constantly wants to bait you, so don't give it one. Keep your mystery, keep your power, and keep your silence. Take this mindset, apply these tools immediately, and just watch how the social dynamics around you completely transform.